Hey YouTube, how's it going? Lawler here. Recently, we've been talking a lot about RLCS 25 and getting things ready for the upcoming season, which is just a short few weeks away. We ended up seeing an update coming out from the Psyonix team, or the Epic team, whatever you want to call it, on the RLEsports Twitter, announcing some new things. If you guys want to know more about the format and the schedule and everything else, I've already posted that video. Go check that out. I'll have a link to it somewhere probably in the description. But if you guys want to know like RLCS 2025 scheduling and formats, I have already covered all of that. That's not what this video is about. What this video is about is a couple key components that they have talked about within this update post. One in particular being about the kind of goals and the new marketing strategy and why it's actually a pretty big deal. I do have to clarify though that I have spoke internally with the Rocket League Esports competitive team. I am under NDA. There is a lot of details I cannot share, but hopefully I can like tiptoe around some of those details and provide you guys some insight about what this actually means. So if you guys want to make sure you don't miss out on that stuff, like, subscribe, notifications, let me know any questions down below. I will answer what I can. But with that said, let's take a look at the post and provide some insight. So they do put out this post again on the 15th, which was, I think, on Sunday. And it talks about, hey, there's some updates and everything you need to know. Kind of a quick TLDR as we go through these. Number one, $5 million prize pool for 3v3. It has been increased a little bit. They are including, obviously, 1v1s, as you know. I think first place gets like 35K, if I remember correctly. But the big thing we want to focus on is basically this paragraph. This paragraph is what we're going to be focusing our entire video on, so buckle up. The first thing that we're going to talk about is they are bringing back the Esports World Cup. If you guys remember that, it's where organizations go and compete in a bunch of different esports, whether it be Rocket League, FIFA, League of Legends, Valorant, and so on and so forth. These organizations try to become the best org in the world. That is coming back. Rocket League will be returning in 2025. The other thing that I think is really great is they are trying to build out the Rocket League ecosystem for both the community and the competitive side. One of the ways they've been doing that, as you guys know right now, there is the 3v3, 2v2 Rumble and 1v1 tournaments going on. It's $435,000 worth of tournaments within the community. There was also a bunch of off-season tournaments that went down as well. They talk about one of their goals is that they are trying to reduce the limitations that happen. And if you guys don't know and you guys haven't ever looked up, there is a Rocket League community tournament guidelines, which basically states if you spend more than $50,000 within the year, and that applies in general, production costs, compensation for players, traveling, all that kind of stuff. If you exceed $50,000, you can't without special permission from Psyonix. I can provide a lot of insight on this because, as you guys know, we just ran the LAN event, the Apex. And I can tell you right now, production costs alone were insane. And they basically make it so you can't do anything else. You wouldn't be able to do a prize pool. You wouldn't be able to travel players or do a LAN. Like, we had to get a custom license approved by Psyonix that gave us the, like, thumbs up to go and do our event, because if we didn't, they would sue the heck out of us and basically limit what we could do, how much money we could make, sponsorship, sales, all that stuff, because it exceeds that 50K. Like, I can tell you guys very confidently, running the Apex was significantly more than $50,000. It is so expensive to run off-season events, and it's part of the reason why when Epic is like, hey, Epic, why don't you guys run multiple dream hacks and this and that? Finding ways to get PCs and renting monitors and keyboards and all this stuff you guys don't think about. Catering, travel costs, hospitality, staffing. Like, it's very, very expensive, even if we're still doing it at Lethamir's house. Insanely expensive. So what they're trying to do is open up to more of this open ecosystem, which is what we've been begging for in the past, where instead they aren't as protective on their IP, their intellectual property, which is Rocket League, and say, hey, third-party organizer, if you want to go do it, by all means, go crazy. They're reducing those restrictions so you can go and do it. And I can tell you the Apex is one of the first ones, if not the only one, to get that custom license to the fulfillment that we did. And so far, positive response. Hopefully we have an Apex 2 in the future. We've just got to think long and hard, though, if it is worth financially to do it, because it was a lot of work. Lethamir and I, candidly, are losing money on the event. They are opening it up, so hopefully you start to see more third-party organizers come in and go, you know what? There is a reason for us to do this, because we can potentially, if sponsorship stuff goes right and we leverage things the right way, we can make money on this and grow and expand it and build a community around this. So there is some good for that, and hopefully we do see, like we saw this offseason, a ton of offseason third-party tournaments to help balance out that long offseason that we see that is from essentially tail end of September all the way to December. So fingers crossed that continues to build and grow. That's a W. The other thing that they talk about is how they are trying to continue more efforts in general to sustain a competitive ecosystem, because as you guys know, esports is a massive marketing tool, and I think Epic is starting to come around to the side of understanding that while yes, you technically don't need that in their other titles like Fortnite, the esport and the success of this esport is pretty close to kind of showing the trend or giving them insight on how well the game itself is going. Because let's be perfectly clear and perfectly honest with ourselves, if you release a new car, a new map, and a new rocket pass, most people don't care. It is same old, same old. But when you bring in a new game mode and you do some things that entice the community, and then you have an esport that people are really invested into, they both kind of grow in tandem. So having a very successful esport, although not normally a requirement for a game developer, it is very helpful for selling skins and things in game. It is something that if they do understand, if they take a loss on it and they do lose it, it should come back in other ways that may not be a direct one-to-one. Because when they look at their books at the end of the year, they see a big circle that's red around the esports budget, and they go, wow, we're losing a ton of money. But the conversation has to be, well, yes, we're losing a lot of money in the interim and like the right now. It does help propel skin sales and all these other things that we see a bump in, because our favorite pros are rocking those wheels that sell for more in the item shop, or this certain car decal, or things of that nature. So it may not necessarily look one-to-one, but getting them to understand that it is very helpful for propelling those things and building those things up is very important, which is what I want to talk about in our third and final point that is the most important in this conversation, which is something that a lot of people are like kind of like meh about. There's two sides to it. The first side, if you guys do not know, is during this offseason, there was a lot of conversations that have come out and been confirmed by org owners, primarily Jeff from Resolve, who is probably taking his leave from the space. He talks about how there is no longer the ability to sell a sponsor on like in-game esports decals. For those that aren't aware, organizations that are one of the chosen few get to make an in-game decal for their organization. They sell it, and the cut of it was 30 to 70%, which to me, I never would have signed that agreement in the first place. It should be 50-50 at the minimum. And for organizations that did really, really well, like the big names like G2 and Energy and stuff, they made some pretty good money. It helped alleviated the financial burden that was on their organizations for signing rosters and salaries and all that kind of stuff. Was it enough to cover the full cost? No, but are these players' salaries heavily inflated for what they provide? Yes, significantly. So hopefully as those things adjust and balance out and kind of equalize, you will start to see that balance out. The thing is where orgs made a lot of their money is on those esports decals rather than just the sales. They could put a sponsor on top of it. G2's used Adidas. We've had a lot of people use like certain third-party stuff. Quick Trip Quick Trip Pioneers. There's been a lot of different ones. And then they also sell the naming rights. There's ways for them to sell sponsorships and get money from it. But with the current state of esports, a lot of those kind of sponsors are pulling out. So the fact that they can't sell like ad revenue space within the game on a decal, a lot of them are like, well, shoot, how do we fund this? We can't run a team. We have no option. The balance to that is now, and this is an exact quote, as part of this effort, we, Epic, are introducing a new marketing program where select teams will be offered contracts to support and promote the Rocket League competitive ecosystem. Now, I've had a lot of people say, well, aren't they already? Aren't Rocket League orgs already promoting and doing stuff? Yes, but they were doing it solely on their own budget and not with the help. They were given an opportunity to sell and try to make decal sales. But this, and why it is such a big deal, and why I want to emphasize this in this video, is Epic is directly saying, we are going to partner with you guys. We are going to provide a marketing program for you guys to help by signing a contract. Now, based upon my assumption, and again, there is some things that I have to tiptoe around here because I do have an NDA and things I cannot share. But my assumption is because those decal sales are now gone, that stuff is not happening. I would like to assume that I don't know if they're going to still do rev share options and like team share options for people selling decals in game. If they do make esports decals still, I don't know if they are or not. Is it still going to be a 30-70% split? I don't know. Or are they just saying, hey, here is a budget and a contract. You signed a contract with us. We're going to give you licensing options because you're allowing us to use your brand and game. Because that's how I would do it, right? If I'm a company and I go, hey, we want to put your logo, your branding, whatever in our game. I, as a company, go, okay, you got to pay me for that. You're using our likeness, our branding, just like we want to use Rocket League in our stuff. And if I was to do that, I would have to sign a contract and pay you money to do that. So you have to do the same for us. So what I assume is going to be happening is that Epic is going to these organizations, and they've got to be very strict about this. Like, let's be perfectly candid. This is a business. You are in the business of making money. So be strict about who you associate with, who's going to bring in the most eyes, the most viewership, who has the biggest fan bases, the biggest communities, the biggest reach. And like, sorry to some of these organizations, you're a drop in the bucket. Like, no one knows who you are in the grand scheme of things. You don't have a big organization. You don't have a big following. Your players are kind of lesser, don't have the great performances. Like, they've got to be a little bit cutthroat in this, because at the end of the day, it is a business. And to some, that's going to feel like a kick in the nuts. But it is the reality in which the world we live in. And hopefully by doing this, it will entice some of those bigger names to come in, which will then open up and not only support the players better, but also give the opportunity for these organizations to grow and expand. This is a first time thing they're doing this. This is a big deal because historically, Epic does not like working with organizations. Epic has had bad experiences in the past with Fortnite, and basically, not directly said it, but basically have made it so it's like, we much rather work with individuals than organizations. I much rather work with the one person that is getting a large portion of the money, because it's one-on-one. It's easy. I don't have to go through all this legal red tape. Like, it's just us and them. Easy. But with organizations, there's a lot of additional steps. There's a lot more legal tape. There's a lot more parties involved. And for them to basically say, you know what? We understand. We get it. We have to work with these people if we want to make this thing successful, is a massive step in the right direction. And it may not seem like it, and it may not be amazing right now. It's going to take time to grow and develop. But people need to understand there's three parties involved. Obviously, there is the players and the orgs and the communities and stuff. Number two, Blast. Blast, the production team, is not just a production team. When I ran the Apex, I went to production teams and said, put in your bid for how much it would cost you to run this thing. They do the job, and then they get out. Right? That's not the case. Blast is a true partner for 4 years in this deal. Their say, how they want to run things, the selling of sponsorships is reliant on them. And the last thing, if you're Epic, you want to say is, hey man, you guys weren't successful. We got to get rid of you at the end of this 4-year deal. And Blast goes, you gate kept us. You cut us out at the kneecaps. You limited on what we could do. All the things we knew we needed to do to be successful, you wouldn't let us do. They don't want that to happen, right? So there needs to be a step back and understanding this is a partnership. They do know what they're doing. They have ran successful esports and Counter-Strike and Rainbow Six, kind of, and like Fortnite. We need to give them the opportunity to do and implement what it is. So this is Epic taking a step back. This is Epic understanding that it is a different circumstance. That to me is a massive W. It may not seem like a big deal, but if you know Epic and their 30 plus years of history and the way they operate, to me, it's a big deal. It shows that they're opening up. It shows that they're listening to outside sources. It shows that they're trying to listen, learn, and adapt, and admit they don't know everything, which is a big deal. So I'm going to continue to advocate for that. I think it's massive. What the exact terms are of this, I can't share. What I can say is if you are trying to use someone's branding within your IP, and it goes both ways, whether it is, say, hey, I want to make merch, Rocket League, can I put an Octane on my shirt? They go, heck no, you don't own the rights to it. And I go, okay, how much money is it for those rights? And they go, more than you can afford. I go, great, I won't do it. Same thing applies the other way. Hey, I'm Mr. Epic and I want to work with Team Vitality. Vitality goes, our brand's worth a lot of money. You got to pay us for that. And they go, sure, let's sign an agreement for 1 year, 2 year, whatever it is. Here's money. Use that however you want. Do you want to put that back in your organization? Do you want to put it towards content? Do you want to put it towards staffing? Do you want to put it? That's up to you. But we're going to provide you a budget so we can use your IP in game. Now, will they also get merch and decal sales for their esports? I would assume so if they have esports decals, but I'm not sure exactly. How much they're being offered? Is it 6 figures, 7 figures? Is it, 1 month's worth of... I don't know. I'm sure they have a thought in mind based upon certain guidelines and stipulations. If I'm working for Epic, I hope they have a very detailed guideline of where the tiers are. Tier 1 organization has this amount of impressions per month. this amount of reach. They're spending this amount of money within the game. All those things should be detailed and specific, because then if I am a upcoming organization, or if I'm someone aspiring, like I look at like Deleted Gaming as an example with what is rumored to be Gyro, Wavy, and Andy with Rolled as his coach. Deleted's a new organization. It'd be nice for them to know exactly what they need to do or what they need to accomplish, or like how big their social or how big their community needs to be in order for them to unlock different tiers of compensation if they are in good standing, and if Epic goes, we want to do this agreement with you guys. At the end of the day, if they don't have those stipulations, they don't have those goals or those things to aspire to, it's going to be very difficult. They need to make sure that stuff is clear-cut, well-detailed. They can't let beggars be they have to be very strict. And sure, there's always going to be exceptions. Hey, this organization may not have the biggest reach, but they've got these things in place that make them very successful, or give us a different audience or a different demographic that we didn't think about previously. There is going to be some advantages to that. But I think overall, this is direct compensation from Epic for the likeness and branding of these organizations. How much, we don't know, but it is a massive step in the right direction. And at the end of the day, we have to understand it is going to take time. I know Gen Alpha, Zoomers, all these kids are like instant gratification, swipe right, I get what I want, it's right there. But this stuff takes time. There has to be an assessment period. There needs to be the ability to see how this develops. And I've told this since like 2023 when we were getting in with Blast. There's going to be some regression. There's going to be some growing pains. They're making adjustments and changes, and that is no different here. There is things that need to be built. We can honestly agree that I think this new format is actually pretty sick. I think there's breaks now in between the matches, so you're not going every single weekend. There's a week off every once in a while. Last chance qualifiers are sick. Prize pool went back up a little bit. More teams at World Championships. Guaranteed seeding is now back for top 32 with the top 8 teams. Like, a lot of doom and gloom has been on the timeline, but there is some good things that are happening if you can actually like read between the lines. Is it perfect? No. Is it amazing? No. Is there a lot of work still left to be done? You better believe it. But this is year 2 of a 4-year deal. It is going to take some time. I would like to trust and believe in a company that has made like $6 to $8 billion on Fortnite last year, that they have a general idea of what they're doing. And the fact that they're even willing to open up a little bit and change things a little bit and understand that Rocket League is not Fortnite, hence the hashtag that came out, I think is a step in the right direction. What I do think is going to happen is, now that this has been announced, you are going to see some more organizations sign back into Rocket League. A lot of organizations, I can tell you through my consulting work and through the contacts that I have, were ultimately just waiting and seeing what this new program was going to be. And now that it has been confirmed and announced, they can either make the decision to say, this makes sense for us, let's move forward, or this doesn't make sense for us, let's pull out. But I would like to assume you are going to see a couple more come in. Who they're going to be or what, I can't tell you. But with that in mind, if you guys have any additional questions on this, questions, comments, concerns, let me know down below. There is some drastic changes that need to happen, and at least something is happening, but we still have a very long way to go. With that in mind, if you enjoy the content, like, subscribe, notifications, let me know down below. If you guys have any additional details, your own opinions, I would always love to hear them. Stop by the stream, twitch.tv/LAWL. We stream pretty much every day. But that is going to do it for this video. As always, greatly appreciate y'all, and we'll see you in the next video.